Matthew Knies has arrived. Max Domi is making a statement. Do the Leafs have a new starting goaltender? And stop me if you've heard this before. John Tavares, overtime winner in Tampa Bay. Welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues. And if you're not hype about the Leafs right now, I don't know what you're doing. What a comeback win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. 4-3 in overtime. Absolutely electric, no pun intended, but let's get right into it. The big storyline in this game, Matthew Knies has arrived on the scene, finally scoring his first NHL goal. And Max Domi has also arrived after weeks and days of scrutiny from the Leafs fans and media. It is so nice to finally see him pick up a couple apples and get involved in the play, especially when the Leafs needed it most tonight. They really needed to get going. They were down 3-1. Samsonov did not help. We'll get into that later in the video. But they were down. They needed some juice, and Max Domi and Matthew Knies got it for them. Let's take a look here. Matthew Knies finally scores his first career NHL regular season goal. Now, let's keep in mind, remember, it is his first NHL regular season goal. He did score one in the playoffs against Florida last year. But, he has become accustomed to experiencing some big moments in Tampa. That's from Mark Masters, and it is so true. He was instrumental in the playoffs last year for the Leafs, really helping them get to that second round. He was just that, breath of fresh air into the lineup. It was really exciting to see, and honestly, I haven't been this excited about a young Leafs player in quite some time, probably since Matthews, Marner, and Nylander came into the league, so it's really refreshing to see. And what a beautiful goal. I mean, like Max Domi on the second one, gives it over to him. He fumbles it a little bit, but he gets on one knee, he fixes his position, and he gets it in the net. It's awesome. And what is there to be said about the first goal? Absolutely rips it. The one thing we did not see from Matthew Knies last year is his shot. We didn't really get to see it in the playoffs. And if you take a look at what Tavares has to say about Matthew Knies here tonight, this is right after the game, he's just scratching the surface. We have barely seen anything from this guy. I truly believe that. We've barely seen anything out of Matthew Knies. We know he's fast. We know he's a great forechecker. All that good stuff. We saw that last year, but he's got the shot to go along with it. He's got great playmaking abilities. He's going to be a really good NHL player for a very long time. He finally gets his first two goals tonight when the Leafs needed it the most. Fantastic. Awesome. And to talk about Max Domi a little bit, we needed this guy to get going. The Leafs really needed this guy to get going. I mean, you brought him in for his grit and all that stuff, right? And the playoff type, player that he is. But, man, he's still very skillful. I think he had like 19 points in 23-ish playoff games last year for the Dallas Stars. So that's not bad at all. That is a skilled player. You need him to get going and inject some energy into your lineup when he can. And he did that exactly tonight with Matthew Knies. So awesome. Round of applause for Matthew Knies getting his first two NHL goals. And he's really helping out the Leafs there with wherever Keefe puts him, because he was demoted, quote unquote, to the third line there in the third period. And he gets it done with Max Domi. And I think Yarncroke was on his wing. It might have been David Kemp, actually. They were mixing and matching the lines there a lot, but it ended up working out in their favor. Crazy game. Almost, I think, 51, 52 shots. Finally, they break through at the end there and get the win. But absolutely fantastic stuff from Matthew Knies. I'm really excited to see him continue to grow in that spot with the Leafs. So with that being said, I mean, if you guys watch the game, could there be a goaltending conversation, controversy, whatever you want to call it? Is the starter spot up for grabs in Toronto? It seems as if perhaps it might be, and it might be Joseph Woll's spot to take from now on. I mean, Samsonov was pulled early in the first period, if I do say so myself. I mean, early in the game, you really want him to log some minutes for this team, and he was pulled quite early, and they were not great goals. That first Kucherov goal, he saw that. He saw that he could have saved it. Second one, too, I mean, it's a great shot coming in hard, but I think you got to be able to read that and make that save and just give your team a chance, and he just hasn't been able to do that. And he gets pulled after allowing 3 goals on 4 shots. You really don't want to see that out of your quote-unquote starting goaltender. I know it's not good. You don't want to see that. But if we move along, right, throughout the game, Joseph Woll, he looked a lot like he looked against Florida. Steady, calm. And I don't know about you. When I'm watching the game, when Woll's in net versus Samsonov, I feel more calm. I know Woll is going to make those saves. And he did. He made a couple huge saves. He looks calm. He looks poised. He looks like he's been there. That's the biggest thing. He looks so calm in the net. A lot of goalies, especially Samsonov, I notice it with him. He's flailing back and forth. His lateral movement's crazy. He's just flailing from post to post all the time. And he's throwing his stick. They made a point of that against the Florida Panthers last game. Joseph Woll's calm, cool, and collected. Cool as a cucumber. He mentioned last year, he does a lot of, like meditation stuff, and he really clears his head, and he lives in the moment, all that stuff. And there's nothing better you could hear from your goalie on your team than that. Okay, goalies are weird, quote unquote, but that's awesome. I think that's really cool, and you need that to be a goalie. It's so true. And if you go back to Samsonov over the last couple days and weeks, I mean, we got this crazy quote from him at the end of the Florida trip, or not the Florida trip, but the Florida game, the first one against the Panthers. We don't have time for crying because we have too many games on this road trip. The sun is up again tomorrow. And besides the fact that Samsonov is a great quote, I mean, that's a great way to look at things. They lost 2-1 to Florida. You would have liked to have beat them, but move on, right? And they did tonight, but Samsonov didn't tonight. I mean, he kind of left the team in a crater, all right? Like, it was 3-1, didn't look good. They were completely out shooting Tampa. And I just think you need a little bit more from your quote-unquote starting goaltender, because Keefe keeps running him like he is. A lot of people talk about him like he is. Joseph Woll has arrived. Is it Joseph Woll's net after tonight to lose? I don't know. I'm not an NHL coach, but I think it is. I think it's Joseph Woll's net to lose. He is way too good. He looks way too poised and calm in there, especially in the playoffs. They threw him into a terrible situation again tonight. I mean, you got to pull the team out of it, and he shut the door. Tampa scored 0 goals after he was put in net. So what else do you want from that? But besides the goaltending stuff, besides the Knies stuff, there was the John Tavares overtime winner. I mean, credit be to Nylander as well. Great move in getting the puck on net and all that good stuff. But I love me a Johnny T overtime winner, especially in Tampa. It's always nice to beat the Lightning, right? So that's great. And it was also the first time in this game, some tidbits here and there. It was the first time this season the Leafs scored first. And I think they have some things to clean up, especially on the defensive side. But that's something they got to clean up too. Because if you take a look here, it's like the first time in, 30 years? In 30 years, they've allowed 3+ goals in 5 straight games to begin a season. I mean, that is tough. It's for the first time since 1992-93. So that is tough. That is sloppy. They need to clean that up immediately. And we always know, we know that they start off October is very slow. They did it last year, and then look what happened. They finished with a great regular season, and they finally expelled their demons in the first round, right? So we know what can happen. They're always sloppy, but let's not, kid ourselves. They got some stuff to clean up. Now let's hope they clean it up, because you don't want to be making these stupid mistakes down the stretch and in the playoffs. Let's just stick with that. But a few other things from tonight. Mitten was not sent down. He was scratched. Thought that was pretty interesting as well. They brought in Holmberg, maybe a little bit more of an experienced lineup against Tampa, which I don't hate. I think that's good from Sheldon Keefe. That's really good awareness, and he doesn't make a lot of changes sometimes, so it's good to see him, making those changes. And I thought the Leafs PK was really good. It gave them a chance, and they look really dangerous. Matthews and Marner now on the PK, that was a good change. I think they look really dangerous on the penalty kill. So, some really good positives. Great comeback win. A little bit of negatives as well, and some things to sit on. So I think that's, should be interesting over the next few days in Leafs land, especially with the Samsonov stuff, but also to celebrate, Matthew Knies has arrived, and hopefully he can keep that up and be consistent. So let me know what you think about Knies' performance in this game. Let me know who you think should be the starter moving forward and in the next game against Washington. And don't forget to subscribe. My name is Darius Domingues. This has been Leafs Digest, and we will see you in the next video.